It comes to talk. Thanks for joining. And the show will be starting in about 8 minutes. And we have so much to cover today. I'm going to start today. I changed up what I was going to start with. I'm going to start today with the latest poll. Trump's poll numbers just through the freaking roof. And I'm going to start with that. Since the liberals are so obsessed with Trump poll numbers all the time, I thought that was a good place to start. I'm going to check the phone. I always check the phone and make sure everything's working. Yep. Okay. And that's working. Awesome. Awesome. Always got to check that every morning. With the mornings when I don't check it, there's been more than one morning where I didn't check it and I forgot to turn the phones on for like an hour. One time I went through almost a whole show and I'm like, what's going on? And then I had not, didn't turn the phones on. Welcome. Yeah, so I think starting with the Trump polls is a good place to start. Don't you guys? Absolutely. His numbers are through the roof. It's the Rasmussen poll, and Rasmussen is, you know, the most credible. Even the liberals love Rasmussen. It's the gold standard of polls. Trump is up 7 points. It's a poll of likely voters, so it's great news. What better way to start the day than with that, right? Now, if you're new, this is where MAGA comes to talk. My name is Brian, and I'll be live in a few minutes on the air, and I'll start my other stream up, and you can call me live on the air, whether you agree or disagree. I'm going to pin the toll-free call-in number in the chat right now. All right, just do a little sound check. Okay, that's the call-in number. If you'd like to call in, toll-free, you can call in right there. Welcome, one and all. Yes. Welcome from Australia. Welcome. You guys can see all the weight I've lost. I've lost 37 pounds. Isn't that amazing? See how flat my stomach is? I mean, I'm not sucking anything in. It's amazing. I've lost a lot of weight. No doubt about it. Yeah, so I'm going to start with Trump's poll number. What better way to start, right? Now, if you're watching here on this stream with the green screen behind me, I have 2 live streams going. On this stream with the green screen behind me, I obviously don't have this green screen effects activated for this stream. So to hear the audio I play, you got to go to my other stream, okay? And that has the green screen effects operational. You'll see a big difference. But on this stream, you'll be able to hear me fine and the calls. When people call in, you'll be able to hear it. If you'd like to call in, it's toll-free. The number's pinned in the live chat. We'll be live in about 4 minutes. In just about 4 minutes, we'll be live. on, guys. I'm still setting up. Hey guys, welcome. Let's see. Okay, we got just over 2 minutes and we'll be live. Just over 2 minutes. I'm still setting up over here. Running out of time, and I'm still setting up. 1 minute. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm still setting up. But I'm not done setting up, but we got showtime in like 30 seconds, so let's go. I'll have to finish setting up in a couple minutes. Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian, and of course, this is where MAGA comes to talk. We've got so much to cover today. We'll be live in seconds. Stand by. Welcome, one and all, to the program. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Wow, it's a pretty big accomplishment. Welcome, one and all. We have so much to cover. Every day with President Trump is breaking news. All day, every day. That's just the way it is. And we've got a lot of things to cover. Boy, oh boy. You know, the most difficult part of my job in the morning before showtime is deciding what story to lead with. And that's, you know, but I always figure it out, don't I? And there's, I don't know, half a dozen stories, all of which could be the lead on today's show, maybe even more. But I'm going to cover them all. But I'm going to start with one. You know, liberals have been obsessing over these fake news polls. And I tell you guys, I'm not a big poll guy, but I do discuss them because the liberals try to use them against Republicans and right now, of course, against President Trump, who is not only incredibly popular, he just won a landslide national election, including all the battleground states, okay? So, yeah, for them to say all of a sudden he's unpopular, it's not even credible. But there is a new poll out from Rasmussen, and I'm going to go through it, including the methodology that they've released to us. And Rasmussen, even among liberals, is considered the gold standard of polls, right? Even the fake news media say that the most credible of all polls is Rasmussen. So let's go through it. This is in Trending Politics. Just in, new poll shows Trump approval surging 7 points in 2 weeks. President Donald Trump's approval rating has jumped significantly in recent days. Now think about the significance of that, right? All this fake news attacks on him, and his poll numbers are going up. Isn't that something? President Donald Trump's approval rating has jumped significantly in recent days, according to a new Rasmussen Reports poll released Monday. marking a sharp reversal from earlier in the month. The daily tracking survey from Rasmussen now shows 50% of likely voters approve of the job Trump is doing, 48% disapprove, a dramatic swing from April 27th when the numbers stood at 47 approved, 52% don't. The 7-point shift in the net approval margin over just 2 weeks reflects growing public support for Trump's aggressive second-term agenda, which has seen a flurry of executive orders, policy moves, and a clear break from the Biden regime. So I went over, and again, this is for you out there that are obsessed over polls on the left. So this is from Rasmussen's website, and I posted all of this on my X, Brian Craig Show on X, and you can go and see all this for yourself. Now, I'm going to read now from Rasmussen's website. Again, this is the Rasmussen poll. This is their press release or article, whichever you want to call it, discussing their own poll. Now, this was yesterday, Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. The Rasmussen Reports daily presidential tracking poll for Monday shows that 50% of likely U.S. voters approve of President Trump's job performance. 48% disapprove. So that's great. He's got the majority of the country, just like he had on Election Day, which is about the same, right? He's got about the same support he had on Election Day, which is amazing. The haters are going to hate. And now keep in mind, this is likely voters. Likely voters is the most scientific voting sample there is. The latest figures include 34% who strongly approve of the job Trump is doing. Well, I'm in that. And 41% who strongly disapprove. This gives him a presidential approval index rating of 7. Rasmussen, now they're going to go into how they do this, okay? He's at 50% approval rating, 48% disapproval, which is about where he was on Election Day. So this is, his support is solid. Don't buy these stories that you keep hearing on MSNBC, CNN, and all the other fake news that MAGA voters regret their vote. Those are lies. Now, again, back to the Rasmussen website. Rasmussen Reports is the only nationally recognized public opinion firm that still tracks President Trump's job approval ratings on a daily basis. Okay? On a daily basis. So they do this every day. Some readers wonder how we come up with our job approval ratings for the president, since they often don't show a dramatic change as some other pollsters do. It depends on how you ask the question and whom you ask to get a sense of longer-term job approval trends for the president. Rasmussen Reports compiles our tracking data on a full month-by-month basis. So they get a real solid sample, not based on one news day, right? Rasmussen Reports has been a pioneer in the use of automated telephone polling techniques, but many other forms still utilize their own operated assisted technology, which is, very open to bias. Daily tracking results are collected via telephone surveys of 300 likely voters per night and reported on a 5-day rolling average basis to reach those who have abandoned traditional landline telephones. Rasmussen Reports uses an online survey tool to interview randomly selected participants from a demographically diverse panel. The margin of sampling error for the full sample of 1,500 likely voters is plus or minus 2.5 points. So President Trump's approval rating could actually be up 9.5 points with a 95% level of confidence. Results are also compiled on a full week basis. That's how they do it, and he's up bigly. So don't let any of these people tell you any different. I mean, he just won the national election. Why would the country turn against him? MAGA people stood by President Trump through some dark days, man, through some incredibly dark days. Right? They shot him. They tried to shoot him again. The fake arrest, the fake civil cases, the fake criminal cases, Letitia James property case, all that. We stood by him through all of that. And now they want you to think that he's been abandoned by MAGA. Liberal lies. Do not believe any of it. And the Rasmussen poll is a scientific poll. They make their living on accurate polling. And one of the reasons they do this is they make a lot of money and a lot of business doing polling for people you never see, right? Sometimes it's political, and they do internal polling for people. But but these polling organizations also do polling for corporations. Like if Hershey's has a new candy, they want to do a poll on how people like it, right? So Rasmussen, unlike these other polls, when you see these media polls, those are push polls like the ABC polls, the Fox polls. Those are push polls to give them something to talk about on the air. The push polls meaning they're pushing a certain result so they can create a news story as opposed to actually going out and getting a news story. All right? So Rasmussen, even though I don't follow polls, I really don't. I only talk about them because the fake news media misrepresent them all the time, and I have to put in proper perspective what's really going on with polls. But out of them, the Rasmussen is looked at when it comes to political polling as the most credible, all right, with a truly accurate sample of people that are voting. So if you insist on going to polls, it's the Rasmussen that you want to go to. All right, well, listen, guys, welcome to the program. This is the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig, and of course, the Steve Kane Show is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida. If you're new, we're here weekday mornings from 6 until 9 a.m., and this is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. We talk about everything that's going on in our country, and we also take live calls. Our calls are 100% screenless and unvetted, meaning when you call in, people that are new get a little confused as to how this works. When you call in, no one answers the phone. I just put you on hold, and when I pull you up on the air and I say, what's your name, where are you calling from? That's the first time anyone's ever talked to you. And we do that for a reason. We take the calls screenless and unvetted. No other show does this, okay? Every show has somebody answering the phones. We could do that. We choose not to because it makes the show more interesting. We have no idea what's coming. And a lot of times, too, people get things off their chest to a call screener. So just keep that in mind. So when you call in, you're just going to be put on hold until you hear my voice asking you what's your name and where you're calling from. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. That's 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. Now, after the first break, I got a lot of stories to cover today. So in the beginning, I might go through things kind of fast because a lot has happened, but you're welcome to call as I'm going through them. Elon Musk and DOGE have uncovered what very well may be the largest criminal conspiracy in the history of the United States federal government. I'm not kidding and I'm not exaggerating. This is huge. Your mainstream media aren't going to be reporting on this too much because they don't want to highlight the criminals inside of our federal government. But I'm gonna talk about it and I'm gonna share it, and we got a lot more too. But the next story I'm going to cover is that, and we're so blessed to have Elon Musk. President Trump made such a good choice with Elon Musk. He's put together this incredible DOGE team of brilliant people that are uncovering government fraud and waste all the time, but they have stumbled across a major criminal operation going on, very organized. We might have to do some RICO charges here with federal workers, okay? If you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our first break of the day. We'll come back with your calls. My name is Brian. Our number again, 1-888-465-2631. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. Yes, guys. I know. Great news. I'm going to go right to the phones when we get back. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're on hold, hang in. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang in there, guys. I'm texting Mike. Okay. We'll be back in just over a minute. Stand by. I'm texting with Mike the board up. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. All right, so hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. If you're just tuning in, President Trump surging up 7 points in his approval rating among likely voters in the latest Rasmussen poll. We got a lot of other things to cover, but let's take some calls first. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Yes, calling in from Los Angeles.
All right, speak up, Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Yes. Is your refrigerator running?
Oh, okay. Can you get something a joke that's not from the 50s? Oh my goodness. Is that a call from a time warp? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Bob from Deerfield Beach.
Hey, Bob.
How are you?
All right.
Wonderful. I'm a first-time caller, and I just happened to find your radio station by luck. I was scrolling through the channels looking for some beautiful opinion that's aligned with mine in politics, and I came across you. And you sound very interesting. I'm very happy that I found you about a week ago.
Well, I'm glad you did. And Deerfield, man, when are they going to finish that? When are they going to finish that pier at the beach? Oh man.
You're not kidding. You are not kidding. It's been about 12 months, and there's about 6 months left on it, I believe.
You know that in 1976 was the first time I came to Florida. I was 5. Deerfield Beach was the first Florida beach I went to, and I love it. Anyway, what's on your mind?
So I was just wondering, where are these liberals' minds when it comes to the politics that they come out with? such as bringing this Abrego guy back, an MS-13 gang member, like every policy, like open door policy, no boundaries, anybody can come here. What are they thinking? Do they not have the intelligence level to say, hey, my taxes are going all towards this instead of towards things for America to make my life easier and better?
Yeah.
And it's funny that these people that think like this are like the elite that are behind these walls and these big gates, and they're secluded from crime. Like their crime rate within their community is 0.1%. So they don't think about the other people. It just blows my mind.
Well, I mean, look. The other night, Willie Brown's girlfriend, Ann Wino, Kamala Harris, right? She went out to dinner with her husband, former vice president. She had 25 Secret Service agents with her. You know, they're all protected by walls and security. If this wife beater Garcia lived next door to them, they'd have a different attitude, right? But you know, here's the thing with the Democrats. Here's the thing with the Democrats, okay? They've always been wrong about everything, always. Democrats have never been right. But the Democrat Party has been taken over by racist, weirdos, freaks, geeks, and activists, like Ilhan Omar, who says the biggest threat in America are white men. Okay, so you've got a racist party that hates white people, and and Garcia, he beats his wife, but he's not white, so they're going to side with him over Trump, who's a white guy. That's what it is. Nobody wants to say that, but that's what it is. That's a large part of it.
Right, correct. And you know, I had a Republican Party here in Deerfield Beach for 5 years in a row, and I speak my mind. I know President Trump personally for 37 years. I've been to his house 100 times. He's just the nicest guy in the world. But you're right. You just mentioned Ilhan Omar. I hate every day waking up knowing that my tax money is paying this bitch.
Oh, no, you can't. You can't. I got to let you run. First time we had to hit the dump button of today. Oh, my God. New listener, first time caller, and a brand new listener had to hit the dump button, Mike. If you're on hold, stand by as we wait for the delay to re-engage. And for those of you that are new and wonder what I mean when I say the dump button, you can't use profanity on the radio, and we're on a delay. And the length of the delay depends on where you're listening. Sometimes it's 10 seconds, sometimes it's more. It's no less than 10. So when someone uses profanity, we have to hit the dump button, which cuts out the profanity. And then we have to wait for the delay to rebuild before we go back to the calls. So that's when I say the dump button, that's what it is. I know people are passionate, but you cannot use profanity. Oh my goodness. Although there's so far as having to use the dump button, that's one of the more mild instances that we've had the dump. And I really hate to have to dump somebody who's a brand new listener and a new caller, but I'm sure he'll recognize. But make sure you tell all your friends about the program. You know, the Steve Kane Show, we're the longest running radio show in the state of Florida, on the radio since 1977. And the Steve Kane Show has been on the air in South Florida since 1983. And here we got a guy who's lived for many years in South Florida. He just found us. So welcome, and tell all your friends. You know, the marketing of the Steve Kane Show is 100% word of mouth. You guys telling your friends about us and share it on social media. So please continue to do that. While we're waiting, the delay's re-engaged. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Michael Hernandez. I'm calling from Austin, Texas.
All right, Austin, Texas. What's on your mind?
On my mind is what is Trump and the Republicans going to do about all these black people?
Oh, come on. Come on. First of all, you're black, and you're fake MAGA, and you're trying to act like, no, you're black. I can hear it in your voice. You're as black as I am white, and you're trying to pass yourself off as a stereotypical. Okay, good. You're gone. You're trying to pass yourself off as a racist MAGA guy. If MAGA was so racist, you wouldn't have to pretend. Okay? You would just hear MAGA people calling in saying racist things. Oh my goodness. You know, and I got to tell you, that's a disgusting call. I'll tell you why. He's definitely black. You could hear it in his voice. You know, there have been such sacrifices made in this country in the past against the Democrat racism from slavery to Jim Crow and everything else. Great Americans like Rosa Parks, who's in the news today for something at the Met Gala that somebody did. What an idiot. The great Martin Luther King and others, right? John Lewis, okay? And they dealt with real racism, real racist. And when I hear a guy who's got such a heavy black accent call in and pretend to be MAGA and say something stupid like that, that's racist, it's disrespectful to Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and all those who sacrificed, in some instances, their lives to end Democrat racism and Jim Crow in this country. You should be ashamed of yourself. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our toll-free number is 888-465-2631. And as you can tell, as I was talking about before the last break, the calls are screenless, 100% unvetted. When you call in, I just put you on hold. And when I say, what's your name, where are you calling from, it's the first time anybody speaks to you and connected to the program. And you can tell by the quality or lack of quality with some of our calls that there's no screening going on. Because if there was, would some of these lowbrow callers make it on? No, but I'm fine with it. After the bottom of the hour break, we'll get back to your calls. And Elon Musk has dropped, which may be the largest criminal operation in the history of the federal government going on. We're going to get into that and a whole bunch more. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig, back after this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a terrible person. You know? Some of these people. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there, guys. All right, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and I will be going back to the phones after the break. Hold on, what time are we coming back here? Okay. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. This is our bottom of the hour break on the radio. Terry said, speaking as someone not from America, the rest of the world is laughing at him, LOL. I guess that means President Trump. And this is what, people that are watching from other countries who say things like that. In the United States, Americans don't care what people in other countries think about us, our country, or our president. We just don't care. And it's amazing to me what a shock that is to so many people in other countries, that we Americans don't care what people in other countries think about us. We just don't. I guess because we're number one has something to do with it. Right? I'm not sure, but we just don't. And that comes as a shock to people in other countries so much, doesn't it? I see that in the chats all the time. If you're on hold, hang in there. No, we don't. I don't know why that is. We just don't, you know. Why do you think that is? Why do we not care what people in other countries think about us? Oh, we're number one in everything. Largest economy. Number one consumer nation. We're the richest nation in the world. The freest nation in the world. 30 seconds, we'll be back. Really? There's more criminals in jail than in China? China puts innocent people in prison. We are the richest nation. And the largest economy. All right, stand by. About 10 seconds. Welcome back, one and all. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once.
Hello.
All right, you just made it. What's on your mind?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
I want to
Another
say
winner.
that's pretty fuzzy about that hat that you got going on. Honestly,
You got to speak up. I can't understand what you're saying. You're mumbling. Speak up. I want to hear what. Okay, he hung up. He hung up on himself. Okay. So the great Elon Musk. Elon Musk is amazing, isn't he? I mean, Elon Musk is absolutely amazing. What he has done with DOGE and what they've uncovered is going to have lasting impacts in this country for decades. And DOGE's work has just begun. This is going to be an ongoing multi-year process with what they're doing. But the other day, Elon Musk was interviewed on Fox News Channel by Lara Trump. And he dropped something. If you're on hold, I'll go back to the phones in a moment or two. But Elon Musk dropped something on Fox, which very well may be the largest criminal operation in the history of the federal government. Listen. Okay, so DOGE has found that at least 100,000 employees of the federal government are collecting unemployment payments, unemployment checks, and their government salary at the same time, which is a major felony, which I would imagine you would go to prison for. White-collar prison, but prison for. And when I say this, very well may be the largest criminal conspiracy ever uncovered in the federal government. What I mean by that is not the actual number of dollars, but the actual number of people involved. So how is it that 100,000 federal workers are collecting unemployment and a government salary? That's a very high-risk crime that involves a lot of fraud, because don't you have to check? I've never been on unemployment, but don't you have to check in with them? And yeah, exactly. And, you know, for that many people in the federal government to do that, there's some type of organization behind it. 100,000 people at least, he said, but let's just cap it off at 100,000, which is a tremendous number of people. Why and how would 100,000 people who work for the federal government pays people very well, why would they get involved in such a high-risk crime that involves a lot of fraud, right? Because you got to sign papers, you got to do it, and risk prison. There's some type of operation going on getting people to do this. There needs to be a RICO investigation going on. This is a major conspiracy. This is a major criminal conspiracy, a major criminal operation. And it's 100,000 people now, But how long has this been going on? How many years? How many decades? And over the period of time that it's been going on, how many have done it? It very well may be millions of people. Now, my recollection with unemployment is that it's what, like a year, 9 months, or a year? How long do unemployment benefits last? 9 months, a year? So is this something they do once for that period? Or do they have these people been collecting unemployment as often as they can? And how are they committing this fraud? Because they're employed by the federal government. So when the unemployment offices, you have to have been laid off, right? Fired, laid off. There is some organization involved in this. 100,000 federal workers are not just on their own taking part in such a high-risk crime with so much fraud involved and risking prison. Again, I don't. Some of you that have knowledge on how the unemployment system works, I would love to hear from you, because I've never been a part of it, so I don't know. But what paperwork do you have to fill out? How often do you have to check in with them? And how long do the benefits last? And how many times can you collect it? And your employer pays the unemployment benefits, right? They have that unemployment insurance. So who are they saying they work for? And how are they paying money? There's a major criminal scheme going on here at a very, very high level. And, the only thing from DOGE that they haven't been able to track down are getting names. The fraud is so deep and so well planned. There have been criminal referrals, they tell us, but we haven't seen publicly any names yet or any arrests from it yet. But this is a pretty large conspiracy. All right, let's try the phones again. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. It seems to me that the entire federal government is one big criminal operation of fraud. Right? And you look at everything that DOGE has released. Has there been anything that's come out of DOGE that's been positive? It's amazing to me. Now, we've always known that members of Congress were on the take. This is something we've known, and really almost in many ways accepted. But the level of fraud, we're finding out that the federal workers in the bureaucracy at all different levels, even lower levels, are stealing from the federal government. And let me tell you, if you've ever encountered a federal worker, federal workers are some of the most arrogant people you've ever met in your life. They're very entitled. They feel invincible. They feel they can never be fired, and they have power over you. And I got to tell you something. We need to see some major arrests come out of what DOGE is doing. But I've heard Elon talk about this. Some of it was on the Jesse Waters interview. But if you watch Elon and DOGE on multiple interviews, there's a common theme. The money's there. People take the money. But in most every instance, there's no record of who got the money or who cashed the check or how it was deposited. There's a major money laundering operation going on. And I was watching a story on DOGE on Fox the other day, and they listed all of these things they're spending money on. And some of them sound really absurd, right? They're, fleas on goats in Algeria. You see stupid stories like that. I just made that one up, but you see stupid stories like that. Most of these ridiculous things that come out of the list that they're spending government money on, they're not spending money on that. You think they're really paying for a transgendered comic book in Brazil? That was one of the things they found out in the early days of DOGE. No, that's just what they put down on the paper to get the money. They're not paying for these things around the world. People that are inside the Beltway are taking the money, and they put transgendered comic book in Brazil as the expense, but the money's not going to that. It's going to someone in the Beltway, the Washington Beltway. And this is why there's, one of the many reasons they don't like Trump being an outsider. Everyone that Trump has brought in this second term are outsiders who are not dependent on the Washington class for their living, their family's living, or their financial futures. And the federal government, it may have always been this way, but certainly since the major growth of the American economy after the end of the Second World War, it's been upped a lot. But I imagine it's always been this way. Since there's been a federal government of the United States, there's always been a lot of money to go around. But we've never had a president or a cabinet that were not compromised as part of the Washington class before. And these are people that are not on the take. These are, I call them the untouchables, this Trump cabinet. They're people that can't be bribed. And they're disruptors. And it's going to continue to be this way during this entire second term of Trump. But DOGE's work is doing such a great service because it's very eye-opening when you see the level of fraud and criminal activity that's coming out. All right, let's try some more calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, no. The liberals are getting very cowardly today. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to take more calls after the break. I'm not going to take any more calls in this segment. So if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take some more calls after the break. Now, this clip of Elon. Okay. Now, I know this was on Fox because Lara Trump interviewed him. But I was watching the news yesterday. This is a big story. Okay, I saw this yesterday. I was like, "What? How much time did Fox News spend yesterday on that anti-Semitic thing from the Barstool Sports guy, Portnoy?" I'm not saying that wasn't a story, but did it really deserve like half a day of news when you've got this kind of fraud going on? And look what's leading all the news outlets today, right? It's the Met Gala. Who cares about the Met Gala? Do any of you care about the Met Gala? You know who care about the Met Gala? The rich, celebrity, and wealthy, powerful elite, the ones that are stealing from the government. But that's what's consumed the news cycle today. There's no doubt in my mind, when you look at the number of people involved, that this is the largest criminal conspiracy, not just in the government, but maybe in the history of the United States, because of the number of people that are involved. Now, I want to talk to you guys about Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Holy smokes. Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Mike Lindell was at the White House meeting with the president this week. And there's just incredible deals going on right now at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout. And remember, when you use our promo code Kane, K-A-N-E at checkout, you're not just supporting Mike Lindell and MyPillow, you're supporting this program, and you're letting Mike Lindell know that his support and sponsorship of this program, he's been with us for many, many years, is worth it when you use our promo code Kane. And I know you guys have been very loyal to us and Mike Lindell, because each week I talk to Mike Lindell's assistant and him in his office, and the response from this audience is huge, huge. And they remind me of this quite often. And you can save right now as much as 80% off some of the most popular MyPillow products. I was talking yesterday about the MyPillow energy drinks. These are fantastic. Saturday, I was talking about on Saturday, I had tasted the drinks before, but I actually was tired. It was in the afternoon. I've been doing work around the house all day, and I needed a pick-me-up. And I didn't want to have coffee, so I got my Green Apple Mike Lindell Rev 7 MyPillow energy drink, which has no sugar and no caffeine. I drank it, and a little time went by, and I realized I'm doing all this stuff around the house. The energy just came on so naturally. I felt so great, and there were no jitters like you get with other energy drinks, and there was no crash after because there's no sugar or caffeine. You can get 30% off the MyPillow energy drink with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. But there's a lot of other great deals going on too. There are so many must-haves. Of course, the pillows. If you don't have any MyPillow products, you want to start with the MyPillow that started it all. And that's just $17.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. The regular price is $49.98. It's a huge, deep discount. I have the entire MyPillow sleep system. I have the MyPillows, all of them. I have a MyPillow mattress topper, a MyPillow mattress, the MyPillow sheets, and I also have the MyPillow towels. You know, the MyPillow towels are towels like you've never used before. They're just $39.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. When you hear Mike Lindell say towels that actually work, what a concept. Before I used the towels, I didn't quite get what he meant. But the first time I used the MyPillow towels, I understood. They actually absorb the water. And what I realized with all the towels I've used my whole life prior to the MyPillow towels, what other towels do, they don't dry you off. They just spread the water around. And, you know, when I get out of the shower in the morning, I get that towel, that MyPillow towel, I dry off right there in the shower, and I get out. With other towels, you get out, you're freezing, right? That cold feeling you get when you get out of the shower is the water evaporating off your body. When you dry off with the MyPillow towel, you're bone dry. You don't have that sensation. They actually absorb the water. They're just $39.98, and that's $30 off. But there's other huge discounts as well with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. You can also order by phone, toll free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. That's 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. We'll be right back. We'll be back shortly, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go back to the calls when we're done. Welcome, everyone. Oh, yeah. The MyPillow towels are absolutely amazing. All the MyPillow products are great because everything Mike Lindell makes is of high quality. But the towels, I think, might be my favorite after the pillow. We'll be back shortly, guys. Less than a minute. They're having some internet problems. They told me iHeart will be operating later today. That's one of the things I've been texting with over here. I've been texting with the radio station about that. All right, less than 30 seconds. Welcome, one and all. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We are back. I'm going to go right back to the phones. We've covered a lot. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Pete from Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, Pete.
Yeah, it's really amazing how much corruption that DOGE and President Trump is revealing to the people. And
Oh,
I
yes.
think I seen a very good example of it last night. I mean, it amazed me, really. Around here in our neighborhood, we have a very nice neighborhood we live in at Uncle Park. And during Cinco de Mayo, there's just fireworks. They go up almost to midnight. Nobody's ever told them to stop it, but you're not farm at the time. But last night, I didn't hear any fireworks.
Yeah.
And around 9:30, there were a volley that sounded like the old. I lived in Nashville for over 50 years, and Vanderbilt, every time they scored the football team, they would fire off this cannon. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah. So where's the corruption? You called the police?
I didn't hear anything last night except that. And it just, I'm like, I wonder if it's eyes. I mean,
Well, yeah. In fact,
CNN
CNN reported about this yesterday. Cinco de Mayo celebrations nationwide were at their lowest levels in decades and decades, because the Cinco de Mayo is celebrated apparently primarily by illegals, and they were afraid Cinco de Mayo celebrations would be raided, so there were very few. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the call. Yeah, and that's a good thing. That tells you Tom Homan's on the job, and they're worried. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Bob again from Deerfield Beach.
Bob, it's
using that word.
I
apologize.
Okay. Apology accepted. Listen, it's one.
How passionate we get sometimes.
It's okay. You're new to the show, and I get it. But it's only one call per day. Okay. That's
I didn't know the rules. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If we let everybody call in like 10 times a day, it would be like the Joyce Kaufman show. It would sound like we had no listeners.
Yeah.
So it's one call per day. All right. Take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? That's another example of the screenless calling. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
I heard what you were talking about with Fox and them not, this fraud story and them not leading with it. You got to understand, this is a different Fox than from what it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, they would have led with that type of story.
Yeah.
This is the sons leading with the help of their wives leading, and they're all liberals, And this is something that CNN and MSNBC would do. They wouldn't lead with that story. They would lead with the Met Gala and this, that, and the other.
Well, but I appreciate the call, Mike. Yeah, you're right. I was wondering about Fox because I don't watch too much cable news, but I did have it on yesterday for a big chunk of the day in the background, and I read a lot of news in the morning. Okay, and that's why I get up so early. I read a lot of news. And I read as much as I can every morning before I go on the air. And there's some news publications that I make sure that I read every day. Breitbart, the Gateway Pundit, a whole bunch of them. Bongino's website, BonginoReport.com. There's a whole bunch of them. Trending Politics. But there's about 6 to 10 that no matter what, I make sure I read. And one of them is the Daily Mail. And one thing I've noticed about Fox, it seems to me like they have no producers anymore. I don't know if they've thinned the herd of their producers and news people behind the scenes, but so often if I have them on for a long period of time, it seems to me like they just they pull up the Daily Mail and they just start at the top news story and go through the Daily Mail and just throw out a headline. Like there's no producing or writing or reporting or anything going on at Fox News. That's what it seems like to me. And if you read the Daily Mail and you have Fox News on for a prolonged period of time, You might have picked up on that too. Have they laid off their behind-the-scenes people? Do they not really have producers anymore? Between Breitbart and the Daily Mail, if you've read that in the morning, so many days, and yesterday was one of them, you've seen the whole daytime programming of Fox News. I'm not talking about their prime time. I'm talking about the daytime stuff. You've seen the whole thing. It's very strange, and I'm just wondering if they really don't have people behind the scenes like they used to. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mark Jameson, Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Hey, Virginia. What's up?
Yeah, the reason I'm calling is I hear everything. DOGE is doing a great job, but there's no arrest. There's no arrest with
Yet.
Social Security. People scamming the Social Security. There's no arrest with USAID.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes on and on. I mean, yeah, they're arresting a few illegals, some grandstanding with that, but
well, yeah, what's going on? What's going on right now is they are, and I promise you this is going on, that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, who's very good, that they have all kinds of investigations and grand juries going on for all kinds of crimes. And at some point, there's going to be massive indictments that come out on all kinds of people. You know, when DOGE finds something, they can't arrest people. Like this 100,000 federal workers collecting unemployment benefits at the same time that they're getting paid by the government. Major prison time felonies going on. You just can't arrest people. You have to investigate it. And and if you're Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, okay, they're probably thinking like I am. This is too large of a thing for it just to be people doing it. There must be some criminal organization high up, and they want to get the head of the snake. So with all these things, there's major investigations going on, and there's grand juries. Grand juries are secret, and there's no leaks out of this Justice Department or this administration. If they find a leaker, they fire them instantly. So just because we haven't seen it yet in the couple of months President Trump's been there, doesn't mean these things aren't happening.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I've been in organizations where people were stealing, embezzlers, and they were stealing last week, and then next week they're arrested.
Well, this isn't normal employee theft. This is a large criminal operation. Like on Jesse Waters interviewed Elon Musk and the DOGE team the other day, and one of the things that Elon shared is that they rented out the Caesar's Palace for a party. And they have been committing this fraud for so long. They've got a machine to do it. And one of the things that DOGE and Elon Musk have said, it's so sophisticated, most of the time they can't figure out the individual who got the money. It's not an easy thing to uncover. I promise you, they've got forensic accountants and everything looking into all of these things. President Trump said to Kristen Welker over the weekend, there are criminal referrals that DOGE has sent to the Justice Department, and these things are being investigated. But, it takes time. And the attention span of Americans is very short these days. So, I mean, it's only been a couple months.
That's true. Yeah.
You sound depressed.
Well, no.
Just tired.
Depressed. I live in I live in Northern Virginia, in Washington D.C.
Oh, well, you're in the swamp. You're living in the swamp.
Oh yeah, I see the scammers.
Like, I give you an example. One of the things that they're doing, because Elon told us, they're looking into in Northern Virginia, how do these low-level federal workers afford these massive homes in Virginia on their government salaries? These things are being investigated. Believe me.
Yeah, it's sickening. Some of them haven't been to work for 3 or 4 years.
That's right. Hey, listen, I got to run for the. We're up on our top of the hour break, but thanks for the call. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back right after this. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Let's see, where am I going to go next? Oh, yes. Okay. Just queuing up my next story that I want to cover. Callers on hold, stand by. Welcome back. Hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. And I haven't even gotten to 5% of today's show prep. But I will recap as the show goes on what I covered so far and get into some new things. But first, let's take a call or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit
Of
here.
course.
With DOGE, okay? No, that DOGE is only one part of the story. I believe it goes right to the 400 and something congressmen that you see sitting there, the Steves. And when you say this one big bill that's going to be passed now, this is part of the fraud because they get a bill where all these little things are tucked in, every one of those congressmen, and the money doesn't go to where it's supposed to go. Now, it starts at the top. It doesn't even have to go to the intermediaries.
You're talking about you're talking about the earmark. Well, listen, here's the thing. Everyone knows that members of Congress throughout American history have been on the take, right? That's just the way it is. And it's something that we know and something we kind of accept, okay? And what you're talking about are the earmarks. And the earmarks, that's, they have a money laundering operation with donors, right? Donors donate the maximum money they can under the law, and then the congressmen get these earmarks and bills to pay them back 100-fold, right? It's a money laundering operation. And while that still goes on, probably even in the big beautiful bill, not to the level that it used to, because we have a different breed. The MAGA Congress people are a different breed of congressmen than in the past, so it's clamped down. But, listen, anytime you have an entity this large, there's going to be fraud. But what DOGE is doing is not just cutting out government waste and fraud. They're putting a spotlight on the government. And while the American people have accepted that members of Congress are thieves, they thought it was just a little bit, right? The American people had no idea how large the thievery and the fraud and the stealing from the federal government is. And that's going to help us get
You just said something which is part of the story. You said waste and fraud. There's absolutely no waste. These people know where the money's actually going, and it's going into their pocket. That's the waste. And it's to me, that's a false narrative.
Well, see, Richie, no matter what the issue is, we're talking about this now, but I mean, if we went back in time 5 years, you always, you always find the negative. You never see the positive in much of anything, and that's
there's no positive.
There's a lot of positive. I'll give you an example. the big beautiful bill is only the first of the tax cuts, right? We all know about no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security.
That's all great, but why do they have separate bills?
And hold on, and they're going to extend and maybe even make permanent the Trump tax cuts. That's why Trump over the weekend said,
with all of it.
well, hold on. President Trump said that if they don't do this, taxes are going to go up 68%. That's because his tax cuts are expired. Okay, this is the first of many tax cut bills that Trump's going to come through in this second term. And in the past, Richie, you can be doom and gloom.
I understand what you're saying.
Well, maybe not everybody is as smart as you. Well, let me finish a sentence, a thought.
Okay.
There's going to be tax cut bill after tax cut bill. The next presidential election very well may be, the main issue may be eliminating income tax and funding the country on the tariffs, right? Democrats, well, maybe not everyone's as smart as you, Richie. Democrats always run against tax cuts, and they always say the same thing: how are you going to pay for it? And and a lot of liberals in this country, even people that are working stiffs who work hard and make very little money, they buy that crap. What DOGE has done is put a spotlight on how much of the federal government is thieving and stealing and corruption. So the Democrats are never again, during this Trump second term, they're never going to be able to mount any opposition that's meaningful against these massive tax cuts that we're going to get over the next 4 years. So DOGE's work there is going to pay us dividends for the rest of our lives.
Brian, I agree with that. I'm not arguing that. I'm not looking negative here. What I'm trying to say to you is, all bills that these guys up in Washington do, they always wait till the last second, where they're going to shut the government down, and then they throw this gigantic thing you can't even read. This is going on for
all right, Richie. Years. All right, okay. So everything, Richie, I was talking about this yesterday with Richie. Richie is this misery loves company. A lot of this has to do with the fact that he's a lifelong government worker. People that work in the private sector are where the winners are. Government workers are where you get a losing mentality and people that aren't that motivated. And, if you look at President Trump and everything he's gone through, was there ever a day he didn't have a smile on his face and didn't look at the positive? You talk to a lifelong government worker, you get nothing but negativity, and that's Richie. He can't see the positive in anything. He always finds a way to feel like a loser. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, conservative.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Everything's great. I disagree with this poll. I know everybody that I know that voted for Trump. Only one person is a little unhappy with this or that. But so I can't see how even 30% are against Trump. This is
no. The Rasmussen poll, which I'll go over again later, but I might, but the Rasmussen poll shows an approval rating that is about what the election results were, right? 48 to 50.
Yeah,
so it shows that the MAGA support is pretty much 100% behind President Trump right now, right? According to the poll, 100%. And the Democrats are still the Democrats, that they have not moved the needle against Trump at all. In fact, it's the margin of error is 2.5 points, plus or minus. President Trump could be up 9.5 points within the margin of error, so which means his support's gone up since Election Day.
That's for sure.
So that's what that poll means. The 48% that don't approve of him, those are all the Democrats and never Trumpers that didn't vote for him.
That's as he goes through his days, 100 days. What could you not like? I mean, they have their little talking points, but the reality is, when you say, so I think about it, everything he does is good for the country. And I think these polls that they're getting, they're searching for people to say something negative.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, appreciate the call. All right, appreciate the call. Our number is toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Go ahead. Yep.
Oh, okay, that was quick.
Yeah, you're on the air.
Your opinion of President Trump meeting with the former leader of the Proud Boys?
I don't have any opinion on that. I mean,
Another question. What was her name? The Hendricks.
But I've heard from the left that the Proud Boys is a racist organization.
Yeah, they are.
Well, if that's true, why is the leader someone who's not white? He has brown skin. If they're a racist what racist organization has a non-white person as their leader? If they're a white supremacist organization, that doesn't make a lot of sense. White supremacists don't like non-white people as their leaders, but so that must mean the Proud Boys aren't racist.
He's allowed to.
If they're in a white racist organization, how does that make sense that they have a brown-skinned leader?
It is oxymoron.
It doesn't make sense. It does. So they're not racist. So you want to withdraw your statement? You said that they're racist. The Proud Boys.
No. I have firsthand knowledge they are racist.
How can you have a racist organization, a white racist organization led by a man with brown skin? How's that possible? That's like having a Jewish Nazi. Doesn't make sense.
It does seem a bit odd, but
But you still want to say that they're a white racist organization, even though their leader has brown skin.
Well,
you know how stupid that sounds?
I certainly can provide you with.
I don't want you to provide me, and if you have an organization, you might be able to find an isolated person who said or did something. But to say that they're a racist, I mean, listen, Ilhan Omar said the greatest threat in America is white men.
To be deported.
Oh, hold on. Okay. But hold on. Ilhan Omar is one of the leaders of the Democrat Party. She said that the biggest threat in this country are white men. They're doing all the killing. So you're going to take that one statement of hers and connect that to the entire Democrat Party?
I see your point, and
so do you want to retract your statement that I'm not a supporter of the Proud Boys, okay? I don't follow them, I don't advocate for them or anything else. But do you want to retract your statement that they're a white supremacist racist organization since their leader has brown skin?
No.
Well, so you want to sound stupid. You want to sound stupid. Okay.
Well.
What's your next? Okay, hold on. What's your next point? Now that we've established your brain power, what's your next point?
All right. Are you saying you have more knowledge on this than the Bureau of Justice and various law enforcement agencies?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. White supremacists do not like non-white people. Okay? And white supremacist organizations do not have a leader who is not white. A white supremacist racist organization, if that's what they are, one of the requirements is to have a white leader. And if their leader has brown skin, they may be a bad organization, but they're not a white supremacist organization. White supremacists don't...
You can get anyone to run a dummy mission for you.
Okay, if you hey, listen, if you want to continue to sound, people think you're stupid, continue. But what's your next point? What's your next point?
My next point is Hendricks. What is your opinion or your position on Mrs. Hendricks, the lady that made the incendiary remark or racist remark about the little black or African American?
Oh no, I'm I'm a black parent. Okay. I know a lot of you know that, but those of you that are new may not know I'm a black parent. I have one child, a daughter, and she's black. And I don't support people who... This is the woman who used the N-word with the GoFundMe?
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't support people using the N-word, and I certainly don't support people having GoFundMes raising lots of money for doing it. Are you shocked at that?
Well, I respect that, Brian.
Oh, well. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what's the point of that question? Because I'm MAGA, you think I would support something so stupid?
No, I just didn't know what side you would land on.
The right side, the conservative side.
No, all right, okay. One other thing. What's your position with them tweeting out the picture of President Trump as the Pope?
You know, this is, you know, what I want to answer that question, and you know, what this idiot on the phone is doing, and I'm talking to, I'm talking to,
an idiot.
yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah, you think, yeah, I'm talking. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you right now. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the audience about you. And I'm telling the listening audience something about you. I'm going to respond to the Pope thing in a minute. But this is to the audience, I'm talking to the audience about you. This idiot that I'm talking to on the phone, guys, okay, who thinks that, can you stop talking so I can...
I'm talking to someone in the back.
Well, yeah, I can still hear you. You got to be silent while I'm talking to the audience. I'll get back to your Pope thing in a minute. This idiot I'm talking to on the phone, who
Idiot. Okay, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well,
master's degree. I'm an idiot.
a master's degree, so what? You know, you think a white supremacist organization chooses a brown-skinned person to lead them? Yeah, you're an idiot. But what he's doing is fishing. He's got all these stereotypes of MAGA people, and he's fishing, seeing if I'll catch the bait. I know. You voted for him in all 3 elections. I know. And the first thing he started was trying to get me to defend the Proud Boys. Then he thought he could get me to defend a woman using the N-word. And now this Pope thing. He's still fishing. Listen, I'm Catholic, okay? I'm a black parent and I'm Catholic. Sorry that I don't fit the stereotype, okay? And the only people that are offended at the Pope Trump meme, which by the way he didn't create, someone did that on AI, but the only people offended by the Pope Trump meme are non-Catholics, the liberal media, and Trump haters. And the Catholic Church excuse me, I'll tell you what is offensive. The Catholic Church, even with the most liberal of liberal popes, is pro-life. And every pope, including the liberal popes, not only are they pro-life, said that you are forbidden from accepting Holy Communion in Mass if you advocate or take part in abortions. Yet, the Democrat Party is full of Catholics like Joe and Jill Biden who participate in abortions, Nancy Pelosi and others who disrespect the church and the Pope by taking Holy Communion even though they advocate and allow and take part in abortions. I've never heard the media upset at that offensive thing with these abortion fake Catholics taking Holy Communion against what the Pope has said, all the popes have said repeatedly. No one's offended by this meme who's Catholic.
I think Joe Biden.
Joe Obama, that's the only thing you said that made sense. All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig, it's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. I mean, that guy, what an idiot. He's got a master's degree. Let me tell you, some of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life have graduate degrees. I mean, Kamala Harris has a Juris Doctor degree, right? She's an attorney. So what does a degree mean? Exactly. If you're on hold, hang in there. Give me a break. I mean, listen, I'm not an advocate for the Proud Boys. However, how can a organization be a white supremacist organization if their leader has brown skin? What kind of white supremacist organization would choose a non-white person to be their leader? It doesn't make sense. I'm not defending or advocating for them, but that's just a stupid comment. Take issue with them on something else, but that? Very strange. Very strange. Yeah, well. Exactly. Let's see, I gotta check. What time are we coming back? We'll be back in about 90 seconds. Oh, man. "30 seconds, we'll be back. If you're on hold, hang in there." 20 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Man, did it rain at your house yesterday? It rained buckets. I mean, it was really raining hard at my house yesterday and the day before. And it's already been raining today. Now, my landscaping loves it because the rains have come a little late this year, but they've been coming, and they've been coming hard. We are in rainy season, guys. If you have a wet spot on your ceiling, you have a leak in your roof, and you want to take care of that before it turns into a big problem. You want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He handles both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you just need a simple repair, he will do it. All right? And, when we're on our cruises, I talk to a lot of our listeners who are customers of Tom Laporta. They all got new roofs. He does every type of roof there is, too. Residential, commercial, even municipal. Okay, even does church roofs. Works with every type of roofing material there is. Give him a call. Now, this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call or text. He'll get right back to you. 954-604-4602. And also, he can handle the job of any size. So whether it's a single-family home or one office building or a community with over 300 units, he can handle the job of any size. 954-604-4602. His website's laportaroofing.com. Now, there's a number on his website, laportaroofing.com, but that is not his cell phone. If you want to get the owner of the company, imagine, you get the owner's cell phone number, and this is his cell phone number that's in Tom Laporta's pocket right now because he and I text a lot, and this is the number that I text him on. It's really amazing to have the number, the cell phone number of the owner of a company like this. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. Get that leak taken care of before the hurricanes come, all right? All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Bill, and I'm in Pensacola.
All right, speak up, Bill in Pensacola.
Why is the administration giving $1,000 for immigrants to self-deport?
Oh,
That's like incentivizing them to do what's right in the first place.
Well, because it's cheaper than everything else we're spending on them, and it gets them out of the country. We're giving them an airline ticket and $1,000. That's a lot cheaper than putting them up in a hotel and paying for their health care and their schooling and the jailers and everything else. It's a pretty smart idea to incentivize them to get the heck out. That's why.
Oh, okay. I love you.
All right, take care. Yes, I got men out there who love me. Isn't that nice? All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Hey, Renee.
Yeah, you know, you got to stop your racist crap because the Proud Boys aren't standing back and they're not standing by. They're a bunch of racists. And you don't have a daughter. You don't even have a child.
Okay, Renee, I'm going to tell you something, okay? And I want you to listen. I give you a lot of slack on this program. More slack. Hold on. I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to hear this, okay? I want you to hear this. I give you a lot of slack. More slack than everyone tells me I should give, okay? And you know, and excuse me, I'm not done. And
I don't care.
well, I'm going to say this with or without you, but I really want you to hear what I'm going to say. You can say whatever you want about me and all these other things, but you talk about my daughter, you go so far over the line. Excuse me. Slow down. Mm-hmm. I don't want to discontinue your participation in the program because I think your vile Democrat, liberal, racist venom really exposes the left. But if you are not, I don't want to hear any more out of your mouth about my daughter. Okay, that's it. I mean, just think about that. Okay, and I do give you a lot of slack and probably way too much. And you know, I don't know. You know, maybe what Renee and I'm the only person that enjoys Renee's calls. You know, everyone tells me I should ban him. But a lot of times what callers do, like Renee, is, you know, this is the greatest talk show in the history of radio. There's no doubt about it. I'll put this show up against any show ever. This is the greatest show in the nation. No one does what we do here like we do, you know, where we give a forum with open phones to anyone, including these vile Democrats like Renee from Harlem. But a lot of times what these callers do is they're addicted to me like hunters addicted to crack and hookers, okay? And they can't get themselves to stop calling, participating, or even listening. So what callers do from time to time is try to do things to get banned. And we've had callers that have done that over the years. They try to get themselves banned. And I kind of think maybe that's what Renee from Harlem is doing. But I'm going to tell you, Renee, I meant what I said. You know, you're welcome to call in. You can say whatever you want about me and talk about the issues, but you don't talk about a man's child. That's out of bounds, out of line, and it's classless even for a liberal BLMer like Renee from Harlem. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there, guys. Our number is toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. Have you noticed how unhinged Democrat callers are to this program? The level of derangement among the left in this program, in particular today with the callers, is at an all-time high. And that is because President Trump is surging in his approval rating in the latest Rasmussen, which I will recap. And things are going well for Trump, MAGA, and America. And that causes him to be unhinged. All right, we'll take our bottom of the hour break and be right back. welcome everyone. If you are new, make sure you subscribe, all right? Yeah, if you want to call in, the toll-free number is pinned in the chat. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes. This is our bottom of the hour radio station break. I'm very behind schedule this morning, too. No, I don't mind all the venom from liberals towards me, but you don't talk about someone's child or wife. You just don't do that. And he should think about what he's doing and saying. You gotta, come on. You gotta have, even liberals, even Democrats have to have some decency. I know it's difficult. Less than a minute, we'll be back. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? We got a bad connection.
Can you hear me a little better now?
Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to kind of ask you
here we go,
why
Mike.
you didn't answer that question about the memes. Don't you think it would be important?
Oh, the Pope memes? Okay, here's the Pope meme. I did answer. No one is offended other than people that already hate Trump. The Pope meme?
Why did the Commission for Bishops make a statement after it happened?
I don't know, because maybe they were asked. I don't know. But who cares?
Here's the thing. If you want to be a leader in the world, be a leader in the world.
He did not create the meme, He didn't make that meme.
So you're telling me that he's not in control of his own White House?
No one in the White House made that meme. Someone did it online with an AI generator.
It was posted on the official.
Yes, then they posted it there. Yeah. But since when do you why all of a sudden do you care about what Catholics think?
It's actually.
Are you Catholic? Are you Catholic? Excuse me. Are you Catholic?
You're not. I'm Catholic light. You know what Episcopalian means?
That's not Catholic. Yeah,
It's
Episcopal.
Catholic light.
No, it's not Catholic light. That's the Church of England. All right? That's the Church of England, the Episcopal Church.
Okay.
That's not the
Sorry,
Catholic
you're not letting me
Church.
answer your question.
You're not.
You're deflecting.
I know. I'm exposing you. But go ahead.
Exposing what?
Why? Well, all of
I
a
don't
sudden,
think it's
this
appropriate
is really amazing. All of a sudden, the liberals. You asked a question. Liberals, all of a sudden, are the defenders of the Catholic Church. Since when?
You're not allowing me to reply to what you're...
All right, go ahead.
You're just deflecting.
Go ahead.
I have a problem when President Trump decides to kind of bombard us with all this BS. I'm not going to say the words because I know you can't say that on the radio. But, you know, when he goes after Hollywood, when he goes after CB...
Is this really a cell phone problem, or is this just you trying to get out of defending your stupidity? You know, here's the thing, okay? This guy's
Why do you call everybody who disagrees with you stupid?
Well, the things you're saying are stupid. Let me tell you, I'll give you an example, okay? Hold on. Some of the things you're saying that are stupid. You said... Hold on. No, hold on for a second. One of the things you said is when the president goes after Hollywood. Over the weekend, President Trump announced a plan to save Hollywood and bring Hollywood back to its glory days of movie making. Did you catch this?
That is not an important thing that will...
Well, not for... No, you brought up Hollywood. President Trump said he wants a 100% tariff on foreign-made movies.
How is that going to help the country?
When you said when he goes after Hollywood, I'm telling you he's defending Hollywood. I'll tell you how it's going to help. I'm going to tell you how it's going to help. Stop, but you got to stop talking and listen. President Trump said he wants a 100% tariff on foreign films. And what that is an incentive for is to get movies made in Hollywood. American movie studios are making their movies in other countries. And he wants to get movie making back to Hollywood. That helps California, it helps Los Angeles, and it helps the many thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who work in the entertainment industry in Hollywood. And they're all liberal.
Do you remember the example that I gave you yesterday?
I don't even remember talking to you yesterday.
Okay, so yesterday I gave you example of how the NFL is hosting games overseas. They're doing that to try to get foreign money. Overall, if more people spend money around the world on American things, that actually helps us.
Well, see, here's the problem. The NFL they do games overseas. I've seen those, but they're not moving their teams. They're not moving the Miami Dolphins to London. Hollywood is out of business. It's a ghost town. They don't make movies there anymore. So Trump is trying to save them. Now, so far as the Catholic Church, with your lie that you're Catholic light because you're Episcopal, I'll tell you what's offensive to the Catholic Church. That is the Episcopal Church that has gay priests and female bishops and lesbian bishops. What's the Catholic Church feel about that with your Episcopal Church? Since you're so concerned about the feelings of the Catholic Church.
The past pope who just passed away was okay with it.
No, he was not. No pope was okay with lesbian bishops and gay priests. And the Episcopal Church is filled with it.
We're all God's children.
Of course we're all God's children. So that would include Donald Trump. But you're offended over this. But you're offended over this meme. Do you know that there are priests in your church that are married to other men? What's the Catholic Church feeling on that?
So? I mean,
well, no, but you called in as the reason I bring this up is you called in as the defender of the Catholic Church. And you're part of the church that the Catholic Church totally denounces. The Episcopal Church, you probably didn't even know that your church was founded by Henry VIII.
May I respond, Brian?
Please.
Is it okay if I respond?
Please.
Okay. It's inappropriate for the President of the United States to do something like that.
To do what? What did he do?
To post something like that.
No, it's not. It's America. The president has First Amendment rights. Appreciate the call. All right. He has First Amendment rights just like you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Christine in PA. How are you?
All right, Christine. How you been?
I'm good. I wanted to address you about the DOGE and the unemployment. This is actually in my wheelhouse as an HR professional because I have to fill out unemployment claims all the time because we have union workers. So when they're laid off, we have to fill a claim out. Now, each state is different as far as how long you can apply for a claim or how long you can get your benefit. But you and I that pay taxes, that have a job and work, we have to pay into our state unemployment tax every week.
Mm-hmm.
So we pay into that. If they get laid off or they have a reason that they're eligible for unemployment, then like in PA, they can get up from 18 to 26 weeks of a maximum allowance based on their quarterly tax wages.
Yep.
But ultimately, whoever's in that federal building or in that business, they have to fill out as the employer. When the employee says, hey, I was laid off, the employer has to come back. They call it a state unemployment number. Each employer has a number along with their FEIN number. And then once they apply for that, they come back to the employer and they say, okay, was this person actually laid off, to determine their eligibility and what their position was so that it matches with the employee. So if it doesn't match, it could possibly be a fraudulent claim, which we had back in 2021 and 2022. They said there were people from federal state prisons that were hacking in the system and they were using fraudulent claims. Now, I had about 15 fraudulent claims that I had to file with the police department, file with the unemployment agency, and how we knew that they were fraudulent is that they didn't know the person's job title. They would put something way off from what they were. And so it has to be whoever's on the inside as the employer saying, hey, they're eligible for unemployment. We actually laid them off when they didn't, so they're double dipping.
Well, you know, by the way, this is Christine who came up with calling Open Phone Friday Open MAGA Mike Friday. This is the Christine that I credit for that Open MAGA Mike Friday thing, which was very good, Christine. I appreciate that. Well, what Elon Musk uncovered, 100,000 federal workers are receiving a federal government salary and unemployment from whatever state they're in. This is a fraud so large, there's got to be a major head of this. I mean, it's a risky thing you go to prison for. There's got to be an organization inside the federal workforce getting these people to do something that is such a well-documented, high-risk federal crime that could result in prison. You said you called the police. I mean, there's a head of this, and I hope they find who it is.
Yes. So that was a little bit of shedding some light on that.
No, I appreciate you added. All right, all right, Christine, take care. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Brian. Have a great day.
All right, see, we got people out there that know stuff. Now I'll tell you this. I don't know what I would do without our sponsors. Could you imagine, what I would be like without Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment? I'd be like an old man. My shoulders would be in massive pain. I'd have arthritis suffering going on. My knee would still be hurting. I would not be standing here filled with so much energy. I would be in pain, and I don't know what I would do. And, I really got my life back with Dr. Appleton. I remember, here it is. We're in the rainy season. We're talking about that. This was the time of year that my knee would just kill me, where it would hurt so much, I just wanted to go to sleep. And I had suffered with that pain since I was about 21 years old, until about 2.5 years ago, I went to see Dr. Philip Appleton and took advantage of his laser wave pain treatment. That was over 30 years of suffering, gone. On a rainy day like we've had today in the last couple days, I would have been in so much pain, I wouldn't have been able to stand here like this and put weight on it. Oh my goodness. 7 times he's rid me of pain, and he can do the same for you. His laser wave pain treatment works. It is 100% painless. You don't even feel it when it's happening. There's no drugs, no shots, no injections, no surgery, and no downtime. And it works on every pain I've ever heard of. Appointments are not necessary either. Walk-ins are always welcome with Dr. Appleton, even on Saturdays. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain, like so many in this audience have done and like I've done 7 times. And I will again. You know, I'll do something around the house and hurt myself and go see Dr. Appleton. You know, I haven't seen Dr. Appleton in a while. So if you're out there listening, Doc, I'm sorry I haven't seen you, but, you know, you've rid me of all my pain. And I'll see you next time I hurt myself doing something that I shouldn't be doing on the weekend. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Welcome. If you're new, this very obviously is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe, all right? You got to love all these liberals that are the defenders of the Catholic Church all of a sudden. I never thought I'd see the day that liberals would be defending the Catholic Church. But they're doing it now. Yeah, I'll play that again for people that are just tuning in. Okay, we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We've talked a lot about this, really maybe the largest criminal conspiracy in the history of the United States, not just the government, but in our country as a whole, that Elon Musk and DOGE discovered, and that Elon dropped on Fox News the other day talking to Lara Trump, which I'm going to play for you again. And this is what Christine was calling about during the break. This is insane. Crazy. I mean, that's some hardcore criminal activity going on down there. And I'm glad that he dropped this. And believe me, they're investigating, finding out how this could happen. You know, to get the unemployment benefits, there's as much documents involved in that fraud as Letitia James with her mortgage frauds that are going on with your signature on them. That's what I mean by it being such a high-risk crime. You know, why would so many inside the federal workforce take part in such a high-risk crime? Because there's some organization setting them up to doing it and giving them the confidence that there'll be no investigation or charges. We're in a whole new place now. It's pretty scary, isn't it? And, you know, DOGE putting this spotlight on all this thievery going on. Americans are hardworking people. And this kind of thing just ticks them off. Now, I wanted to share this story about Pete Hegseth. He is about ready to do something. He announced this, that is one of the many reasons that there's been 100% negative news stories about him since he became the defense secretary. Listen to this. This just broke yesterday. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who I would argue is probably the greatest Secretary of Defense that this country has ever had. He's the only one that's done anything and doing anything, right? What have the other ones done? Except wage war for the military-industrial contractors. Listen to this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced Monday that the U.S. military will soon be undergoing a massive reduction in the number of general officers across all branches. That's generals and admirals. In a video statement posted to social media, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced the General and Flag Officer Reduction Initiative, or as he calls it, the Less Generals, More GI reform. He says it's a historic one. It's keeping with President Trump's commitment to achieving peace through strength. We're going to shift resources from bloated headquarter elements to our warfighters, he said. And they're going to reduce the number of generals and admirals by about 40%. Listen to this. Pete Hegseth has provided a brief history lesson on the U.S. military's historic command, noting that during World War II, the U.S. military consisted of 12 million service members across all branches. For that 12 million man element, we had 17 4 and 5 star generals. So they had 17 4 and 5 star generals. Think about that. Today, the U.S. military consists of 2.1 million service members. We have 44 4-star and flag officers. In the past, the ratio was 1 general for every 6,000 troops, while today it's 1 general for every 1,400. More generals and admirals does not equal more success, he continued. And what a lot of this is, this is really a smart move that he's making. It's a reduction of the woke flag officers, the generals and the admirals. The reason there's so many is probably several, but one of the reasons is there's been an emphasis between Obama and Obama's third term with the Biden regime to have all of these transgender and other groups represented as generals and admirals. So they've been promoting people just so they could have wokesters at the high level of the military. And so they could say, oh, look, we've got more transgender generals in the Air Force than ever before, or something like this. So it's another way for him to purge the high-ranking military officer ranks with the wokesters. The wokesters are going to be gone. All right, our number, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Jay from Jersey.
Oh, hey, Jay.
I'm going to start off. Let me take my because I'm going to start off with. It's only one time I'm going to say I agree with you. I don't agree with Renee what he said about your daughter. And
well, thank you.
She's adopted.
Thank you. You have some decency.
My son is my son, whether he's adopted or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never let anybody say that my son is not my son. He's my son.
There you go.
Ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing different.
All right, so we agree.
That's the only thing I agree, because you know I don't agree with you for nothing.
Okay.
But that I don't particularly care for.
No.
But
well, thank you.
What I was calling about was you was talking about respecting things, and certain things just go over the line. Trump doesn't do anything or let people do too much without him having his say-so. And he said so when he told them to put that image of him up as the Pope.
So what?
So
it's a joke.
Disrespectful. It was disrespectful. At a time when the Pope has died, and if you dumb, stupid MAGA reporter people can't see that, you're more retarded than I think you are.
Mm.
Now, why would you think that's respectful at a time when the Pope has died?
Well, I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it was.
It is.
Well, this is what I have an issue with, okay? There are high-ranking Democrats. Joe Biden's the most recent, but there's a lot of them who participate. This is what you're talking about. You just don't want to hear it. They do something that goes against the Catholic Church like no one's business. They participate in abortions. Joe Biden and the rest, they participate in abortions. Yet
they do not participate.
Sure, if you're paying for them, they advocate for them and make sure they have federal funds to do them. That's participating. You are forbidden from...
That means you're participating.
No, I don't have anything to do with abortions. I'm pro-life all the way.
Taxpayer money? You're saying their taxpayer money goes into
No.
Your
They
taxpayer money doesn't?
No. They advocate and pass legislation to make sure taxpayer money goes to Planned Parenthood. And the popes have said, the Catholic Church says, if you do that, you are forbidden from taking Holy Communion. Okay? By the way, gays are forbidden from taking Holy Communion too, yet they do it. So if you want to talk about what's really offensive to the Catholic Church, it's disrespecting communion.
So if I can listen to this then, so you asked me a question. If I can admit that is disrespectful, how come you can't admit when the Pope, the highest that's on earth, has died? The man is dead.
Since when do liberals defend the Catholic Church?
You can think of somebody who's doing something from with abortion, and you can say that's disrespectful.
No.
But you can't
No. One, excuse me. Excuse me. One, you can't compare an AI.
Yes, you can.
Let me finish my sentence, then disagree. This isn't Jeopardy. You don't have to ring the buzzer before the other contestants, okay? When you're comparing posting an AI-generated meme to murder, they're not the same. Murder is murder. Abortion is murder. That's the position of the church.
No one says it's the same. It's disrespectful whether it's the
thank you for your call. Says another non-Catholic. You know, the Catholics are laughing and think it's funny. You know, and it's so bizarre to hear these godless devil worshippers of the Democrat Party or non-Catholic Christians all of a sudden defend the Catholic Church and don't want the Catholic Church disrespected. I never thought I'd see the day. I also thought I'd never see the day where I weighed what I did before my daughter came home from the hospital when she was born 26 years ago. I've lost over 34 pounds thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I look great. What I get from people is, oh man, you've lost a lot of weight. And I also get, you look so much younger, Brian. I get that constantly. Yeah, well, thank you very much, guys, for your observations. And I have a lot more energy, too. And I look great. I never thought I would weigh as little as I weigh right now, ever again. But I do, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And you can do the same. Now, remember, I've lost all this weight without any exercise at all. None. I'm not taking any prescription medications like Ozempic or anything. And I'm eating foods I would normally eat. That's right. And I still lost all this weight. And you can do it too. Whether you want to lose 25 pounds, whether you want to lose 225 pounds, or 25, 35 pounds like I did. Okay, give them a call. When you call Coastal Weight Loss Secret, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We only have a minute left, less than a minute left, until the top of the hour break. So we don't have time to start a conversation, but if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, please do. The liberal derangement, just an overdrive on the phones today. But hey, that means Trump's doing well. I promise you. If things were not going well, they'd be calling in a good mood, laughing, and it's the opposite. But if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, no matter where you're listening. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We'll be back for the third hour right after our top-of-the-hour break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this. Not yet. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. All right. You there? Steve?
Hello?
Yeah, hang in there. We'll be back shortly. Hold on. We've got...
Brian,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Vaguely in the distance. This is a mess.
What do you mean? I can hear you fine.
Well, but I haven't heard a word of the show. I don't know.
Well,
what's going on.
I know, I can't help that. I mean, what do you want me to do? I can recap.
Yeah, that probably is the best way.
Okay. All right, we'll be back in just over a minute.
Brian, are you there?
Yeah, hold on.
Can I ask you?
No, everybody can hear you. Hold on, I'll pick up the phone. Yeah, what's up? We only got a few seconds. Yeah. Okay. They know. They know. They know. I've been hearing from. Yeah. Yeah, they know. But we're coming back. So okay, hold on. All right. Are you there, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. We'll be back shortly. All right, the third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. Callers on hold. Stand by. We've got a lot to cover, and I got to recap some of the stories because there's been some of the biggest stories. Every day, Steve, is like a massive just news dump from President Trump. It's just huge stories dropping each and every day by the president, by his cabinet, and around him. And the media focus on stupid things like the Met Gala. Who cares about the Met Gala, right? I mean, I don't know why they're obsessing. But before I do some recapping, there's some people been on hold since the last hour. Let me squeeze in a call or two, Steve, and then I'll start recapping the big stories of the day. All right, so let's go. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Patty from New Jersey. How are you today?
All right, Patty.
So I can't help myself anymore. These people, Jay from New Jersey, I live in New Jersey, and I'm going to tell you what, New Jersey is not full of people like Jay.
Oh, good.
Jay is either from the armpit of New Jersey, of Patterson, Newark, or Camden, all right? And what I want to ask Jay directly is, where was the outrage when we had a comedian standing there with a severed head of our president of the United States? Where was the outrage then?
Oh, that was art. That was called art.
Disrespectful?
That was art. They said.
It's just, this is getting ridiculous now. And you know what? They need to, go cry in the ocean because it needs more salt water.
Well, this is so bizarre. I mean, I have the liberal. We've been getting liberal callers all morning since 6 a.m. They've all been at a different level of derangement, right? But there's some common themes with them. All of a sudden, liberals are the defenders of the Catholic Church because of this Trump Pope picture that they posted online that Trump didn't even make. They're so consumed with their hatred of Trump. The guy could do no right. Yeah. It's like I told you, they were giving him a hard time about his suit color last weekend. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. They have nothing better to do but sit there and try to think about what's the next thing I can be outraged
about.
But
why do you think these liberals are so unhinged? It's obvious. I've said it several times. Why do you think they're so unhinged?
Because they've lost, and they know that they've lost their grip, and they have no way back. They know that we have steamrolled them, and that we are just going to, the Trump train came.
Hysteria.
Yes, hysteria. Yeah,
They know that Steve, I didn't know you were there. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you.
But yeah,
everybody.
and I can tell you, my son and I hosted a GOP open town hall with our congressman the other day, and we're working to flip New Jersey red. And this is not going to be a blue state anymore. And people like Jay, like I said, we're the same thing. The majority of New Jersey is Republican, but you got the armpit, which is Patterson, Newark, Camden, which is packed full of
lunatics.
Yes, thank you. And
well, let me tell you. Listen. Every red state has that. Here in Florida, Steve and I live in we live in different counties, right? We live in the liberal counties. Mar-a-Lago's in Palm Beach. That's where I live. It's a liberal county run by Democrats. Steve's in Broward County. It's run by. We have pockets of liberals everywhere. There's always going to be liberals. The whole country is never going to be MAGA, but we're doing. Hey, listen.
They're always going to react as they're reacting now.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
They're going to escalate. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yep.
And we shouldn't be surprised by it.
Yep. All right. Hey.
I don't think we've seen anything yet.
No.
I think it's going to get 1,000 times worse than this, and nothing's going to put a stop to it. The only good news is they're destroying any chances they might have had to pull things together are not going to be possible.
Well, I'll tell you, the liberals, these meltdowns we're getting on the phone, there's been a lot of anger from callers today. Okay, a lot of anger from liberal callers. You can hear the derangement. And with America's under attack by liberals. Just in the last 24 hours, and one's going on as we speak. Did you see the Trenday gang member terrorist attacking the NYPD yesterday?
I heard them talking about it. I didn't see the film.
It's brutal. I mean, and these are terrorists, the Trenday guys. They're terrorists. They're animals. And they attacked the NYPD yesterday, and it was pretty frightening. Riley Gaines, she's the advocate for women in sports, who's been recognized by President Trump multiple times. She was speaking in Portland, and a transgendered activist attacked the building she was in, and we're trying to get to her. But right now, as we speak, a coalition of Palestinian Hamas terrorist supporters and Antifa have been attacking facilities at the University of Washington and setting things on fire. Listen to this. This is out of KOMO News out of the West Coast, Seattle. Pro-Palestinian students, along with Antifa, at the University of Washington occupied the engineering building last night, and they renamed it something in Arabic, Steve. I don't know what this, I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't know if I should even try, because I don't know if it's profanity or not. In protest to the university's ties to Boeing, they've been setting fires. So we have Palestinian and Antifa occupying, attacking, and setting fire at a American.
They're all red mobs. They're all red mobs, and we should not expect anything less.
But the outrage is growing. Oh yeah, because they're losing. So we've got the Palestinian and Antifa setting this university on fire. Trans-Tifa, which is what they're calling the transgender liberal activists now, Trans-Tifa, trying to get to Riley Gaines and do God knows what. We have the Trenday de Agua terrorist attacking the NYPD in the middle of the day, fearless, on the streets of New York City. And you've heard these callers I've had today at different levels of derangement. And a lot of this has to do with the latest Rasmussen poll. President Trump has surged a 7-point gain in the Rasmussen daily tracking of the president's approval.
That's going to continue.
Yeah. So the more popular Trump becomes, the more successful he becomes, and the more he gets accomplished, the more liberal outrage that we're going to experience, like the ones we just went over. One of the brilliant things that President Trump is doing, a guy called me upset about it earlier, and I explained it to him, and he cooled off immediately. But President Trump is, if you're an illegal and you self-deport, he'll give you an airline ticket one way to your country of origin and $1,000 to relocate with. And $1,000 in some of these third world pits of hell is like $10,000, maybe even more, right? It's a lot of money. And a guy called in griping about that earlier. And I told him this, it's a lot cheaper than paying for their kids' health care and education and their food stamps and their Section 8 housing and everything else that the government's been giving them.
Yeah, but I'm not crazy. That's not something that we did that I'm not crazy about, because it's too much like the liberal mindset to pay them to do the right thing.
$1,000, you know, and a lot of these people don't have 10 cents. They need something when they get off the plane and wherever they're from. So no, I have no problem with it. It's a great self-deportation thing to do. And I don't think they give you the $1,000 until you get off the plane on the tarmac in your country. No, I think it's a smart idea. It's cheaper than deporting them, like picking them up and deporting them. No, nah. Everything, you know, listen, illegal border crossings are down 99.99%, right? I mean, that's amazing. And the only reason it's not 100 is Trump let 9 illegals in because they needed health. They needed to go to the hospital. They were almost dead from the travel, all right? Or it would be 100%. There's a lot of self-deportation going on. In fact, a staffer for AOC a couple weeks ago self-deported, right? And this free airline ticket and $1,000 is a smart idea because, Steve, a lot of these people, they have no way to self-deport.
We're debating if it's not a great idea, it's one of the very few bad ideas.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. Steve,
well, okay, I don't want to waste time talking about something.
Well, we're talking about a whole bunch of things. So if you look, and there's another story today, 2 stories at the southern border, right? Now, Pete Hegseth has the Marines down there. They're sending another military detail to another part of the southern border. And they did some arrests yesterday. They're finding a new way for people to get across, okay? It is a federal crime without authorization to enter a military zone, right? Like a military base. If you don't have authorization and you cross over into a military base, you've committed a federal crime. You can be put in prison. So they're using that. When you cross the border illegally, you're now in a military base because it's a military zone. And they just charged a whole bunch of illegals for entering illegally a military zone. And with all of
the reality is we're going to have to hold on. The Supreme Court's going to decide all these cases coming up real quick. And we just have to hope they do the right thing, because if they don't, it's going to be very
well,
messy.
Trump's going to ignore them then. He's just going to do what's going on with all these things that we're going through, right? Even the 1,000 in the ticket. President Trump has about a dozen different things going on that's causing people to self-deport, and it's beautiful. Now, listen.
Issues every day.
Yep. If you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our first break of the 3rd hour and be right back. Steve, you there?
Yes.
All right, hold on.
Brian?
Yep, stand by.
You got to call me after the show.
Okay. Stand by. We're coming back. 10 seconds.
There are two phones.
Stand by. Stand by. We are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Callers on hold, stand by. I want to take a moment to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. And this is absolutely amazing. You know, last time Joe Thomas was in studio, he gave me some breakdowns of different types of annuities. And this is one that he gave me. And I didn't notice it when he was in studio. But next time he's in studio, I'm going to talk to him in detail about this, because this is amazing. Now, you know, with annuities, your money's never at risk no matter what happens in the stock market, and you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. And that's an amazing thing. That's what you need, more income stream, especially in retirement. But he gave me some flyers on different types of annuities that are different options that are numbered. What I'm about to share with you, when you call Joe Thomas to take advantage of his no-charge consultation, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located in the United States, this is option 1. So tell him option 1, you're interested in that, and he'll know exactly what you're talking about. Listen to this. The option 1 annuity includes an income doubler from unexpected health events. From unexpected health events. And, you know, that's what really does people in financially. You know, when you get older, you have a health, sometimes even you're younger, you have a health incident, all of a sudden you can't work, or maybe you got to come up with a lot of money out of pocket, or you're missing work, or maybe you're retired and there's a lot of things you got to buy around the house. You could use that extra. Maybe you got to buy a hospital bed, maybe you need a wheelchair, a motorized scooter, or maybe you just need a little income because you need some help getting to the doctor and stuff. But the option 1 annuity includes an income doubler from unexpected health events. These annuities are good for so many things I had no idea. Give Joe Thomas a call, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. If you missed the number, just get it from Joe's website, jupiterjoe.com. All right, you want to take some more calls, Steve?
Yes.
All right, let's go. I'm a little risky on the phones today. Deranged liberal alert. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Scott, and I called yesterday, but I was motivated to call today by some things you brought up, and I'll bring it up quick and be done. Your dearly departed neighbor and colleague, Rush Limbaugh, a decade and a half ago, brought up something that's, you're bringing it up this morning. He said that, like Vegas receiving a ton of cash, being infiltrated by the mob, he said he believed, he didn't have any, hard evidence, but he just believed that there would be some kind of organization like the mob that would get at that tax money in D.C., a stack of cash like back in Vegas. And now what I find disconcerting is now, all Rush could do was warn, and he warned about a lot of things.
Well, and Rush, the late, great Rush Limbaugh, who Steve used to work with, Rush, when he said that, he knew it was true because he was friends with a lot of these Washington insiders who were telling him, right? But there was nothing he could do about it. This is an amazing thing with Trump, okay? Before Trump came down the escalator, the southern border's always been a problem. And Steve and I never talked about it on the show, ever, before Trump. And a lot of times listeners would get very angry at us. And what we would tell them is, it's useless to talk about it. No one in Washington is going to do anything about it. So why waste time talking about something that no one's going to do anything about? And then Trump came down the escalator, and he was actually going to do it, right? So, what Rush mentioned that, but he did. But there was no one who was going to do anything about it. Now with DOGE and Steve, what we've been talking about with DOGE, Elon Musk did an interview with Larry Trump on Fox over the weekend, and he dropped something that DOGE found out recently that was news. I'd not heard this before. I think he broke the news to Larry Trump. There are at least 100,000 workers of the federal government who are getting their federal government salary and collecting unemployment benefits. At least 100.
That's double.
Yeah, and it's a major felony.
Part of the package. It's part of the severance package. They had an 8-month severance package to
No, it's not. No, it's not the severance package. These are people that are working within their job at the federal government and getting unemployment. It's not the severance package. No, they're getting they're.
Well, I don't want to get off on in detail, but it's both. They designed a severance package to have as many of them quit on their own as possible. And what happens is it's an 8-month severance package. And during those 8 months, they're working on top of it so they get 2 checks.
No, it's not the severance package. It's state unemployment benefits. So this is separate from that. That's a problem too. It is separate from that. There's 100,000, maybe more, at least 100,000. They're currently in their job and getting state unemployment at the same time. And we don't know how long this has been going on. That's another scandal DOGE found out. The federal government... What's that?
Probably nobody.
Nobody what?
That's what concerns me.
What? Nobody what?
Because I worked with a guy who went to jail for that.
Yeah.
He was working, and he was even working under the table. He wasn't getting a W-2 paycheck. He was working cash under the table, and he got found out. I think a former wife or girlfriend turned him in, and he went to jail for a while.
Yeah, it's a hardcore crime. You can go to prison for it because these are federal people, and it's a high risk crime because there's a lot of documentation you have to fill out. The one with the severance is a separate scandal, a separate scam. And you know what DOGE has done, and it's absolutely amazing, is we've known that the Congress people are all on the take and steal money from the earmark. We know this, and it's something that we accept. But no one dreamed that the thieving going on was anything like the level that it is. The federal government's main job seems to be to steal, to have people steal money from it. I mean, that seems to be their main priority.
Yeah, and that's something that it was just a gut feeling, and I thought, my gosh, what am I thinking here? Something's going on. When I saw Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, who you remember who her father was.
DOGE is in the process of blowing all that up.
Yeah,
so that'll be good news.
Yep. All right, appreciate the call. You know, with the Congress people, you know, there's 535 of them, and there's a lot of things we accept with them. Okay, they're all on the take. They do insider trading, you know, and we're willing to put up with that crap, even though we shouldn't have to. But when they're doing the things that we're learning about, like Steve, I was talking earlier, like I saw a list yesterday of expenses, like, you know, like the transgender comic book that they pay for in Brazil. Right. All these weird things, they're not paying for that stuff. That's just what they put on the list to steal the money, okay? They're not paying for drag shows in Brazil. That's just what they put on the list so they can get the money, okay? Believe me. And one morning we're going to wake up and there's going to be a massive press conference of indictments with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel on this. I promise you. President Trump said over the weekend there's been a lot of criminal indictments. All right, let's go back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Josh.
Speak up, Josh.
This is Josh. I'm from Florida.
Yep.
Hey, man, where's my $1,000 for doing the right thing every day, getting up and going to work, you know? That's kind of crazy. By the way, I love Steve, but Brian, you're a prick. I love you guys.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's one of the words, Mike. We got to hit the dump again. There we go. I mean, it's just... Listen, we're going to take our break. If you're on hold, hang in there. While we wait for the delay to re-engage, we'll take our break at the bottom of the hour, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, we hold 2 records here on the Steve Kane Show. The longest running radio show in the state of Florida, probably in America, okay? But also the use of the dump button more than any other radio show in history, more so than even Howard Stern when he was on regular radio, I'm telling you. But I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I've lost over 35 pounds. And, this was the first type of diet plan or any kind that I've been on in my life. And I wasn't sure I could do it. And I was a little nervous because when I first went and met with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, it was on Inauguration Day, right after the show, the day we did our appearance at Wings Plus. Before I went to Wings Plus, I stopped off at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and I met with Dr. Zuckerman over there and his staff. And I didn't know anything about Coastal Weight Loss Secret until I met with them. And before I went, I was a little nervous because I thought I was going to leave with a big box of terrible food that tastes rotten that I didn't want to eat and little tiny pieces of things that wouldn't fill me up. And I was really nervous about it. And here I'm going to be on the show talking about it. And what if I can't do it? And after I met with Dr. Zuckerman over at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and he told me what I was going to be doing, eating foods I would normally eat, no exercise, no prescription medications like Ozempic, I said, okay, I could try this. And I didn't tell you all about it until 2 weeks in, because I'd never been on a diet before. And I said to Dr. Zuckerman over at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I don't know. I don't know if I can. I've never done this before. Let me try it out for 2 weeks. And I lost a lot of weight in those first 2 weeks. I lost 25 pounds in less than a month. And my goal was 25 pounds. Now I've lost over 35 pounds. It's amazing. It works. No matter how little or much. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds. Maybe you want to lose 200. Give them a call. Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help. Here's the number. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-743-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this. Okay, you there, Steve? Okay. No, yeah, it was just, I went to break. You didn't miss anything. Okay, hold on.
Right.
All right, you there? Okay.
Yes.
All right, stand by. Okay, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. I got to call Scott. I'll be right back with you. Hold on. Hey, Scott. Hey, hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to conference Scott in a minute. Okay. Okay, we'll be back in 1 minute, so I'm going to put Scott on. Scott, you there?
Yes.
Okay, we got one. All right, stand by. We got 1 minute. We'll be back. Hold on. You there, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, hang in there. 30 seconds. We are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane is here. And on the line from Cut My Kilowatts, we have Scott. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. I wanted to thank you and Steve for the 15 years I've been on the air with you guys, which has been super successful until this last 2 years. I mean, everything's just been going downhill. I'm going to go off the air Friday. I can't continue to afford.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. Okay, Scott. Oh my gosh, I got to hit the dump button. You know, Scott, you've been with us for 15 years, and yesterday, you broke something pretty amazing. And during, you know, we're in rainy season in Florida, which is also hurricane season. And those of you that are new to Florida, okay, you really don't know what it's like to go through a hurricane and lose power. And, you know, you can have your roof together, you can have your property together, but when you lose power, you lose air conditioning. And hurricane season is the most hot and humid times of the year. And I have a generator, but it can be difficult to get gasoline to power that generator after a hurricane. And if you've ever been in your house without electricity after a hurricane, it turns it into a sweat box, a heat box, like those things they put the guys in Vietnam. And you brought up something yesterday, Scott, that I had never even considered before with the radiant barrier because it cools your house so much. And that is, after a hurricane, if you lose power, how much your home is cool without the air conditioning. So the radiant barrier lowers the temperature in your house by how much?
About 10 to 15 degrees.
That's amazing.
And, you don't have the radiant heat wave. It is amazing. It is, Brian, but it's just, I can't.
All right, Scott. So listen, what I'm gonna do is give out the number, and I've lost everybody on the line, but I'm gonna give you Scott's number, which is, hold on a second if you're on hold, 954-939-1500, 954-939-1500. Give Scott from Cut My Kilowatts a call. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Steve and Brian. It's JJ from
Hey.
Well, I'm glad to see well, with regard to the illegals, this new approach with the sign up, fly free home, and get $1,000. This is something I mentioned months ago, Brian. You and I were talking about it. It's sort of my approach. I wanted a big carrot, big stick approach. And, we were chatting. You were basically talking about, a lot of arrests, putting them in prison. And, my idea was basically what they're doing right now. It's sort of the hunt for Red October policy. How do you get the crew to want to get off of the nuclear sub? We need these illegal aliens to want to get out of the country. And I kind of look at it listen, Biden in the administration basically invited these people here. They gave them a bus. They gave them, they flew them in. They did everything. So they look at it like, we're not doing anything wrong. Uncle Joe, Big Toe, he invited us here, but he couldn't do that. That was illegal what Biden did. So I think the best thing is we need these people gone because we need big numbers of deportations, for the midterms.
Well, listen, a lot of this is the $1,000. Let me give you an example, okay? There are people out there who have these companies, like say you're behind on your mortgage and you're facing foreclosure, okay? You know what companies I'm talking about? You've heard of some of these. And, these companies that buy the mortgages, like you're facing foreclosure, you call them up, they buy your house. They buy your house for what you owe to get you out of the mortgage, but they give you a little bit of money so you can get into an apartment. You know, President Trump is giving 2 carrots to the illegals to get them to self-deport. One is he's telling them that if we have to deport you, okay, if we have to deport you, you can't come back for 20 years. And if you
gotta come get you.
Yeah, and the other one is if you self-deport, we'll give you a ticket and $1,000. And I'm not saying
And they have the opportunity.
To come
They
back.
have the opportunity to come back.
And I'm not-
If we have to go hunt them down, you're never coming back in America. You won't set foot again here. But if you do the right thing and leave, you know, we'll give you that. We'll give you a pass, and we'll allow you to apply to come back in. I mean, it's a big carrot.
Yeah.
And a big stick.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily the best thing that I would like to do. I'd like to be able to have home and round everybody up and send them out like prisoners, but there's too many here, you know, and the government does not have the number of people it needs to get rid of all these people. I mean, a lot, you know, and a lot of them are dirt broke, dirt poor. They have no money. So a little incentive, like these people that are facing foreclosure, to get them out of the country, it's a pretty good outside-the-box idea, and it's certainly a lot cheaper than the other avenues and the things we're paying for anyway.
It's a lot cheaper. Just like we put down the, you know, for a federal prisoner here in the United States for 1 year, it's like 50,000 or so, 55,000. We send them to El Salvador. It's 20,000. That for me, that's the illegal, the people that are here illegally. U.S. citizens, I think, if they commit crimes, I think we should take care of our own prisoners. But the illegals that are here, sending them down to El Salvador, and there's also the fear factor of these people thinking they might go there. There's a lot of different ways to push these people out, but it's a great idea. You know, Trump, Miller, these guys, they got everything. They're just doing everything so perfect right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, and I know a lot of people are going to complain about the ticket and $1,000. There's no way. There's over 20 million illegals in the country, right? We know that there's over 20 million. There's no way to round that many people up because they're in every community and every neighborhood in America. So we want to get out as many as we can, and we want to do whatever it takes to do it. And I'm fine with that idea. You know, now if he was giving him $10,000 or you know, that'd be different. But $1,000 isn't that much. I know it's a lot more.
$1,000, Brian. Let me tell you this: $1,000 to some of where these people are from. That is a ton of money. $1,000 US in one of these foreign countries with the exchange. That's a lot. I mean, a lot of.
Well,
money.
I imagine when they get back to their home country, there's going to be some people there taking that money from them.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people do as well. That was another point I was going to bring up. A lot of these people came here, you know, they got a balance sheet to take care of because they basically loan them the money to get them here, and then they put them in the restaurant slavery. They put them into the massage therapy slavery. They put them into the field slavery. They basically turn them into, you know, they're here sort of like an indentured servant.
Yeah.
And $1,000 might not cover it, but still at the same time, having a chance to come back here and getting out of the situation.
And getting them away from these lawless judges that want to have them all put on criminal trial. No, I think it's a great idea. And, you know, I know that I heard from one person today griping about it, and he was really a MAGA guy, but as soon as I explained it to him, he's like, oh, okay. And they're not going to, and believe me, Trump is very smart. They're not going to give them the $1,000 till they get off the plane.
Yeah, no, they're not gonna mail them a check and say show up at the airport. They're gonna probably be handed a debit card. They'll be handed a debit card as they, you know, as they leave, as they walk down the stairs in their home country.
Exactly. All right. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate the call. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. The phones are ringing off the hook. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi. Good morning, Brian. I'm trying to give you a compliment. Okay, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Oh, here we go. Yes.
Okay. In reference to Rush Limbaugh playing Buck suck on the radio.
No doubt.
You are number one, and you should have got that damn job.
I'm not going to argue with that. You know, I know they suck. There's no doubt. Now I'll tell you that Clay Travis guy, whatever's name, He's very
Yeah.
good when he's talking about sports and
Yes,
even
yes.
even criminal scandals and things involving the sports world. But when he's talking
Yeah.
about politics, it's like I'm listening to somebody in the fourth grade.
Yeah, and I'm also getting tired of that diarrhea of the mouth. I mean, it's just really not that interesting. And you've got the best show in the country. I've been listening to you and Steve since the 60s.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm not going to disagree. You have, and I will say this: you have incredible taste in radio. All right, take care, man. Good to hear from you. Smart guy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Greg.
Hey, Greg.
Listen, yes, good morning, Steve, as well. Brian, listen, you addressed this one topic before we get to paying illegal felons.
Well, you know what? I looked at the clock. I gotta take our last break. I'll put you on hold, Greg. Okay? You haven't said anything. I'll put you on hold. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. We'll be back. Hey, I'll call you after but I can't. Is Steve there or what? What's going on? All right. I had no choice. I will call you after. Give me a couple minutes though to wind down after the show though. Okay, then I'll call you, like 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, hold on. Hey, Wayne, hold on. It's Brian. Stand by. Steve, you there?
I am.
All right, stand by.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm always here. Hold on. I'm going to conference William in. All right, William, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, it's 30 seconds. We'll be back.
Okay.
All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Steve is here and on the line, as we do every time, every morning at this time. We check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How you doing?
Good. Well, more importantly, how are the metals doing?
Metals are doing amazing. Yesterday we saw a $93.80 gain in the price of gold, trading in a range of $3,303 all the way up to $3,338, closing out the day at $3,333.40. That was up $93.80.
Wow.
Silver up 50 cents yesterday, closing at $32.46 the ounce. Platinum losing $1 at $9.60, and palladium was down $8 at $9.29. Well, the rally continues this morning as gold traded overnight between a range of $33.22 all the way up to $3,390. Right now we are up $55 at $33.8840. $55. That's basically a $150 gain in just 2 days.
Wow.
Silver up 70 cents right now at $33.15 the ounce. Platinum up $21 at $9.81, and palladium up $11 at $940 the ounce. So we are going towards those old, the record highs that we saw a couple of weeks ago of $3,500 gold, and it probably won't be long before we're back there again.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Now, Now, correct me if I'm wrong, William Youngerman, but I think one day last week, I think you mentioned, I was asking you about fractional gold. You know, we talk about gold and silver too, and the ounce sizes, But I think you told me last week, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that the 1/10 ounce coins are incredibly popular and actually one of the most popular sizes. Did you say that last week? Or did I imagine that?
Yes, we did. Yes, yeah. For the smaller coins, the 1/10 ounce sizes are very, very popular. We sell a great many of them, and they're available in several different countries, coinage. So you can even collect a little collection of different coins too.
And I know, the 10th ounce coins. Obviously you can buy one coin, 1/10 ounce of gold, and you've got 1/10 of an ounce of gold, and you get 10 of them. You got a full ounce. But I know a lot of people that I know that are into gold. They don't just buy the 10th ounce coins. They'll sometimes buy a tube of them. People buy multiple of them. And I guess a lot of people do that because if they need money for something, they don't have to sell as much gold, is what I would imagine.
Exactly, yeah. And as gold goes higher, the transaction size gets bigger, so they like that ability to just treat it like a part of their gold bank. They just need a smaller amount of money, go in and sell a 10th ounce gold coin.
Yeah, and by the way, the 10th ounce gold coins, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. And the major mints have them. I know there's the U.S. Gold Eagle has a 10th ounce coin. What are some of the other 10th ounce sizes that are available?
Yeah, there's 10th ounce gold coins in the Philharmonics, the Pandas. Royal Canadian Mint makes the Maple Leaf. South Africa has the 1/10 ounce Krugerrands. The Britannias come in 1/10 ounce. There's probably almost a dozen different coins you can
Wow,
get in that.
I had no idea there were so many. Well, listen, guys, give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. His number is 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. That's 1-800-327-5010. Or stop in. He's located in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road, right across from the bank lobby in that building. And you can find William Youngerman's address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll touch base tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, take care. All right, we're back. You back with us, Steve Kane?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, this is one of those days, I got to tell you. It's been a hectic day here on the Steve Kane Show for me. But let's go back to the phones. And all right, is this Greg too? I held you over. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, I'm here, Brian. Okay, before we get to this paying gang members and felons to leave our country, let's go to just first. It was in such poor taste for our president.
Oh, here we go. The Pope.
On his official site as the Pope.
Yeah.
It's in poor taste.
This is amazing. All the years we've been talking, Greg, I didn't know you were Catholic.
Oh, I'm a Catholic. I went to catechism. I went to I received my communion. I grew up Catholic, Brian. So now I informed you of something.
No, that's great. That's great. I'm just curious.
My Edward is my confirmation name.
Okay. Oh, I don't need the whole. This is your life. But the reason I'm so shocked about this is because, I'm Catholic, you're Catholic, and I find it highly offensive when these abortion people like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi defy the Pope and disrespect our church and take Holy Communion every Sunday in Mass. You've never called in taking issue with all of these people disrespecting what the popes have said, and that you can't take communion if you're taking part in abortion, which Biden, Pelosi, and the others do. Why does an AI generated meme upset you so much, but not their abortions?
It didn't upset me. I just said it was inappropriate. I'm not upset over it. And by the way, Brian, you deflect to other people. That's your MO. You go to other things. You're right. Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, other Catholics that support abortion, shame on them. And guess what? They'll pay a price at the end of the day. But let's stick to the topic du jour, the topic at hand. Do you think, our Trump should be trolling, just try to get reactions rather than...
It was funny.
It does not help.
It was funny.
That was funny?
Yes.
You thought that was funny during the time that we're trying to get a new pope?
Yes.
I'm glad you thought it was funny. I hope they talked about it. Did you go to church this past Sunday?
No, I didn't go to Mass this Sunday. But I'm sure you did and took communion because you're a better Catholic than me.
No, I didn't either. Okay, now let's get to paying illegal aliens, felons, right? People that were being preached to.
Well, no, hold on a second here. I didn't hear, excuse me. I didn't hear President Trump talk about giving $1,000 to gangbangers.
How do you know? How do you know who they are? They
Because they will they will ID them. They'll take their fingerprints. They'll do the facial rec. They'll do all of that.
So if you're a gang member and you haven't been caught for a crime in the United States,
If they're a gang member, it's a great trap because they'll end up in El Salvador's prison.
No. Let's get to the point you just made. If they haven't committed a crime here, how are you going to get them through a fingerprint?
Homeland and ICE and all of that under Homeland are connected to the database in some of these other countries. It may be incomplete.
But you just said we'll know when we fingerprint them if they're gang members.
Well, if they have no record that they can search, they may not know. Criminals don't have records until they commit a crime and are booked. I mean, what do you?
Being a gang member in itself is not a crime.
You know, this is what I'm trying to figure out is what's the main.
Wait, ask that question. You will never.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not in a deposition that you're holding. Okay.
No,
what I'm trying to understand is what the main point of your call is, because you're all over the place.
I don't want taxpayer dollars going to pay for illegal aliens who we've been preached to, and I agree with that stand, that they come to this country illegally. They're felons. They broke our laws. Now we're paying them to leave.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that you take issue with our favorite and greatest president, Donald Trump, over both the Pope meme and this, because you're a never Trumper who always takes issue with Donald Trump. Trump can do no right by you.
No. Listen, he's done it right. Listen, I like cutting taxes. Absolutely. Do I like him closing up the border? Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
But Donald Trump is not. And by the word, the word you use that I find like hilarious, it actually provides me comedic relief, is when you use the word perfect, because there's only one person and nothing that's perfect, and you know that. But you like to throw out because guess what?
You know, Steve. I gotta tell you, Steve. It's amazing how all of a sudden all these leftists have found Jesus. They're the defenders of the Catholic Church. It's amazing. Appreciate the call, Greg. I mean, it's amazing to me. Ever since that meme that President Trump put out with the Pope image with his, it has converted so many liberals to Catholicism. It's amazing. As a Catholic, I welcome you to the church. I mean, my goodness, the defenders of the faith. Oh, by the way, I want to share with you the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's. And if you've not taken advantage of this, guys, why not? All right, it's an incredible offer. This doorbell camera will change your life, and you can get a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Sloman's, they're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Now, I'm going to give you the number in just a moment, but Mother's Day is here, right around the corner. Great gift for your mom. By the way, mom and, could be your wife. You get your wife things on Mother's Day. Get her a doorbell camera. It'll make you safer, change your life, make it much more convenient. But if it's grandma or, mom is elderly, living on her own, you can get this for mom too. 833-283-5050. Toll-free number. 833-283-5050. That's 283-5050. All right, Steve, let's go back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brother Brian, AP, good morning.
And
Hey, listen, Greg, too, you little petulant child. It will cost about $17,000 for each person to be deported, okay, prior to what was going on with Trump. If we can give them just $1,000 to say get out of here and have a chance to come back in the future, that would make more sense than pay $17,000 to house them and then round them up. And then
the reason that the never Trumpers are taking issue with this, IB, is because they know it's a way to smoke out hundreds of thousands of illegals. These are people that they can't self-deport. They have no way to get back home. They have no money. Okay, they live in Section 8 housing and they're on food stamps, okay? You give them the ticket, you give them $1,000, they'll leave, and it'll smoke out a lot of them. And the reason the left are upset about it is because it's a viable plan that will work. And I didn't hear that number. They say it costs $17,000 per illegal to deport them?
there goes the fifth level chest master truck again. Yeah, $17,000 around that would be the normal cost.
Wow.
So hey, and they were saying, hey, we'll give you $4,500. So the fact that that's now down to $1,000. Think about the money Trump is saving you guys. The money that was coming out of your pocket that DOGE discovered is going.
Yeah. All right, IB, we're losing the connection, but I appreciate the call. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get as many as we can. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, you hung up on me yesterday, and I understand why you did. I was a very selfish thing that I said to you, Brian. I apologize.
No, I asked you a question. I asked you a question, which I'm not going to relive. And we ended on a very high beat of you looking like a jerk, and it was a perfect time to end. I didn't hang up on you because of what you said.
How does that mean? It's all good. Listen, if it's possible to get a word in, you ready? Donald Trump should never post those things, Brian. You and I both know that. Those are silly little things. I don't know if he does it to agitate people. I could care less. You know, Jesus Christ, God, I don't know. Never met the man, nor did I ever have dinner with either one of them. So when it comes to the blind faith thing, I'm not.
Who would want to have dinner with you? You know, I mean, here we go. I want you to think about this out there in the audience, okay? Here's a guy who's an admitted atheist.
Yeah.
And now we have an admitted atheist who's the defender of the Catholic Church. I mean, do you even hear yourself?
Well, who's defending? Who's defending? I
You.
just said that.
All right,
Why
appreciate
would
the call. Steve, I got to tell you, the liberal callers are just, they've lost their minds. I got to tell you, kids, if you're graduating high school and you're looking for a profession that has many years of work ahead, become a therapist. There are so many, and specialize in liberal Trump derangement syndrome. There are so many Trump derangement syndrome sufferers in this country, and they need therapy, all of them. And you can hear them on our phones. Well, listen, we are out of time for today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane, of course, has been here. Those of you on hold, stand by. If you hang on, you'll be first in line when we open up the phones tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. All right, guys, God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. All right, guys, listen. Thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe, all right? This is where MAGA comes to talk. And everyone who's already subbed, if you could do me the favor of liking the video and sharing on your socials, if you don't mind, that'd be great too. I'd appreciate that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.